Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. If it's your first time tuning in, I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a very frustrated baker. I thank you for joining the show, and I want to remind people that all these shows go up on the archives on J More Living's Facebook page and website. So take us for your walks, your runs, and your drives. We love to keep you company. Today's guests are partners at Baltimore's only family owned Nano distillery, Loveton Farms Distillery. It is Klarke McKissick and John Franzone. Let's welcome them. Hi. Hi. I usually ask what's on your plate, but today I'm going to ask what's in your glass. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so I'm just wondering if we have any cocktails on the side.
Not this time. Normally what's in our glass though is our apple pie rum. That's our favorite. So we usually make an apple pie old fashioned, or we squeeze a little bit of lime in and serve it on the rocks. So that's usually what's in our glass.
Well, that sounds good, and it's definitely the season for apples, and it's always the season for rum. Um, you have three drinks, the Treasure White rum, the apple pie rum, and Gentleman's Reserve vodka. Didn't they just recently win awards? Can you fill us in?
Yes, actually, we recently won bronze awards from the um, American Distilling Institute.
That's
It's
great. That's on all three, right?
yes, all three.
All right. Um, Loveton Farms Distillery was scheduled to open just as the pandemic hit. And you had a sort of drop back, let me use the football term, drop back and punt. What did you end up doing? You were not creating the rum and the vodka at that time. So what was Loveton Farms doing at that time?
Well, because we're a distiller, we were able to make hand sanitizer, and that was basically what we did for a long time, and we did it basically for free and gave it all to first responders, whoever needed it. We had Baltimore County Fire Department over here all the time getting our product. So that was a good thing. I mean, as you said, wasn't anybody out, so there was nothing to sell. So we just tried to regroup, like you said, and punt and go ahead and make this hand sanitizer.
And it was a beautiful way to connect with the community also. We have a warm and fuzzy veterinarian by us. So we had a lot of veterinarians that came over and received our items as well. So we connected with everyone around us by giving them hand sanitizer when in need. So
Yeah, it's cool.
we love that
Well,
movement.
well, there is a charitable side to Loveton Farms Distilleries. Why don't you fill us in on that?
We try to keep initiatives going monthly. We did turkey drives. This coming up, we're doing a coat drive at the distillery for the winter. We donated to the Baltimore Food Bank. We just like to give back to our community. Our ethos is to provide for our community through bringing them together with alcohol and fun. So we try to make it fun, but communal, so that we can all see that we're all the same and we all
Right.
love all of the same things: food, alcohol, and each other.
Okay. Well, you got me in food, got me with each other, and after the show, maybe I'll take a shot. Have some of your vodka at the point. Uh, what was that moment? Let me refer to the Wizard of Oz. In the movie, it was black and white, and all of a sudden it all turned to color. What was that moment like for both of you? How did you come together? What was the aha moment that this is what you were going to do?
Well, we did when we first met. This really wasn't on the table. We met at a business meeting in New York on a totally different topic, and
Yeah.
it kind of evolved into we started to think about the different things that we were doing in that topic, which was in documentation. Documentary what's the word?
Documentaries. We were doing
Documentaries.
documentaries originally.
So, but I have always been interested in this business, and it goes back, well, maybe 20 some years ago. I was out in Las Vegas. I was at the Bellagio, and I got in early, and luckily my room was ready. So I checked in, and I went down. And there was a restaurant in the Bellagio called the Todd English, and so I went to the bar, ordered a chicken. I remember this exactly. I ordered a chicken Caesar salad and a double Grey Goose on the rocks. And the bartender said to me, "Have you ever had Tito's?" I said, "Not only have I not had it, I've never heard of it, because it wasn't on the East Coast." So I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you the Tito's, and if you don't like that better than the Grey Goose, lunch is on me." Okay. So of course I was enamored with it. I don't know how that evening wound up on my Vegas Tito's experience. I did make it back to my hotel room, but long story short, I started to see it all over Las Vegas, and that's where he had started, promoting the product, west instead of east, which is, understandable. And I called him, at his distillery. I was interested in investing in it, and the receptionist answers the phone and says, "No, he'll take a call, but he's out on the forklift truck right now." So I said, "Okay." So he comes in and we talk, and he goes, "I appreciate your interest." He goes, "This is a small operation right now." He goes, "I'm not really looking for investors, but I appreciate it, and I'll keep you in mind if we ever go that way." And I thought it was ironic because Tito's last name is Beverage.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice thing. And so when we started down this road with the distillery, our goal was to be in that price range and of that quality, but better, and not to knock Tito's in any way, because they're wildly successful. But I think
we still love you, Tito.
But I think that product has changed a little bit due to the volume, and we're able to do different things because we're so small at this time. And this is a hand batch. You don't hand batch 4 million bottles of vodka. So.
Well, that sort of explains, you list yourself as a nano distillery.
Right.
And obviously it's in the amounts. There's nano, then there's micro, and micro they call crafted, but you can call nano crafted. What is the difference as to what you can do in volume?
Well, right now, when you say nano, this is nano because this was actually just kind of conceived as a prototype facility and a test facility to do tastings. And as you saw when you were here for that event, it's quite a process to set that stuff up out on the parking lot. It all has to be back down by, Monday morning, and, you have weather and things like that. Right. Inside, we were just envisioning it like this with small groups for tastings, but, of course, COVID hit, and you had to have the separation and things like that when we were able to bring people in. But now there's no space inside here to do what we do because we have too many people show up every weekend. So that we're dependent on the outside. So the back room is only able to make about 24,000 bottles of product a year, which is that's in the liquor business, that is even lower than nano. It's microscopic. So I would probably tell you when you get up to the ability to sell out of state, you could be micro, and then as if you're going to go on a national basis, then you're out there with the big boys. So our next phase of this, which we're actually working on right now, is to get up to 100,000 bottles in a different facility and expand upon that to get to maybe 500,000 bottles, and that gives you that, I would say, that mid-Atlantic capability.
But to describe the actual definition, if you look at it online, nano versus micro, nano is operating with less than 10 employees at all times and less than 10,000 bottles a month. So we technically fall under that as of right now.
Yeah. Can you explain, you said batch process. What does batch process mean?
Small batch processing?
Well, it just said on your Facebook, it said batch process. So
yes, so it's a small batch process. So what that means is that we have one distiller, we have one process going at a time. We don't run them all at the same time. We run it one by one. Our master distiller looks at each product individually. He follows the process from start to finish, from cooking the mash to bottling. It's all small batch, and it's all done with one person managing each bottle so that it's perfected each and every time, and we get an even taste each and every time.
Okay.
That's the joy of the small batch.
Let's give a shout out to your distiller, Raymond Fioravante.
Yes,
Am I pronouncing his
Fioravante,
last?
yes, Italian. Italian names can be pretty hard.
That and Franzone. It's a perfect match. So, just your tagline is powered by passion. Now, Tito's was vodka, but what made you go to rum? Why rum and the vodka?
Well, we wanted to stay in the clears. So, you have, I mean, there's a lot of choices in clears, but obviously the big boy right now in clears is vodka, rum, right in there. And our next product is going to be a gin product. When you get into we're not really set up to be a tequila maker. So the next thing would be evolving into the browns, that's a whole different process, and we couldn't even fathom that right now in this little space that we're in. It'll be down the road, but you got to remember that basically once we cask our first batch of whatever it may be, bourbon, whiskey, whatever, then we'll put the tap in the thing and come back in 4 years. So it's a long process.
Right. Because you have, I say the tasting room's open Friday and Saturday and Sunday, they can get the cocktails and bottles to go. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. We're now open Saturdays and Sundays. We would love to be back open Fridays, but many people have a hard time getting from work and getting over. So we felt like Saturdays was way better for our consumer. They love Saturdays at the patio.
Who creates the cocktails that you put out there?
We all do. It's a joint effort. We are a family-owned distillery, so we operate much like a family. We have meetings where we discuss, okay, fall's coming up. What should be on our fall menu? What do you guys like? What is trending right now on social media? What's some of the top tasting notes you'd like to have? Myself, I come from a distillery background. I worked for Hennessy Moet, Louis Vuitton, and Grand Marnier falls under that umbrella. So I've done tastings for a long time. So we kind of work together on creating those. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this is good. This brand used this, so why don't we try that? And so we actually mix and master right here at the distillery, along with our master distiller. And John tastes it too. He's like, oh yeah, I like that. Or no, we should make that less spicy. Or, we all team in and we come together with something. It's fun.
So what kind of cocktails, if somebody was coming over Saturday to taste, what's on your cocktail menu for the fall?
Right now, we've got some pumpkin infused things. We have some hot apple cider with our apple pie rum. That's a classic. That's going to be really good. I can pull up our menu, actually. We also have a jalapeno beverage coming out for the spicy lovers. I know there's a lot of people that love spicy margaritas, so we put a little twist on it with rum instead and made it a little spicy. It's going to be great. I'm excited. They can check that out too on our Facebook and Instagram and our website. We've posted our fall menu for anyone who's interested.
Right. And all your contact information has floated up in the notes, as we've discussed. And just to go over it, you need to reach them on the webpage. It's lovetonfarmsdistillery.com. It's not hard. Same thing on Facebook and Instagram, lovetonfarmsdistillery.com. John, where did the name come from? I heard it came from sort of your side of the partnership.
Well, we had a debate about these names, and that's always a tough. It's always a tough project, but it was off the chain, the different ideas that people had in our business. So I used to live in a development called Loveton Farms. It's up in Sparks, Maryland, and we were living in Sparks, and I drive by that sign every day, and I was like, you know what? I like that name. I said, find out if it's trademarked, and it was not, and that was it. So that's how it came to be.
And your dad's horse farm was over there, right?
No, that was a different. I was thinking about that too. My father and I had a breeding operation, racing operation for many years until he passed, and that was called Flying High Farm. But that didn't really. I didn't want to have the. If you're selling alcohol, you don't want to have Flying High. Would be a bad moniker for the product. So that's why we went with Loveton Farms.
I thought it was cute as well. During the pandemic and all the economic unrest, we were like, what if we just sprinkled a little bit of love on all of this? Or how about a ton of love? Let's sprinkle a ton of love on all of this, and it'll all be better.
If someone was going to throw a cocktail party or make a cocktail at home, or you, what items should they have in their refrigerator?
Well, that's cool. We just did an actual live on that on Facebook. We did a live I want to say 2 weeks ago, about making cocktails at home with our products. You really don't have to have much because we wanted to ensure that all of our beverages taste great on Simply the Rocks. But you can lime, lemon, things that you can leave around the house, such as cinnamon. Pretty much any home essential that everyone has will be a great additive. Apples, fruit. I put blueberries in a lot of my stuff. Honey.
One of the things.
Hot tea.
One of the things I want to add there, that in this process, and with Raymond and his background, he's a chemical engineer and a chemist, and he's been fooling around with this distillation and breweries and brewing for many years, probably back to junior high school. And when we discussed what type of product we wanted to have in these clears, my whole mantra was smooth. And when you do these tastings out here with the vodka, that's probably the number one comment that you get from people, that is smooth. And the reason being is that, most people, I can hunt with the big dogs. I can drink Booker straight up. I can drink Pappy Van Winkle. I don't need cranberry. I don't need all these things to make these fruit drinks. And
okay.
But everybody's concerned about, caloric intake and the sugars. Well, the more that you have to add all these sweeteners and juices to make this palatable to you, the higher the caloric content and the more sugar you're consuming. With this product, instead of if you have just even a vodka and cranberry for what I call a moderate to light drinker, you don't need to make this thing bright red with cranberry. You can take our vodka, put a little splash into it, and you're good to go. And even, and I don't mean this politically incorrect, but a lot of ladies that would never drink vodka straight up unless they were at a bachelorette party and they were gone doing shots, can drink this product without any type
He's
of
actually
mixer.
Right. It's on our reviews. You can find our reviews on Yelp. We get reviews every week. Shout out to Yelp. Thanks. But even the ladies and those that aren't avid drinkers find drinking our beverages simply on the rocks with a squeeze of lemon or a squeeze of lime is simplistic and satisfying enough. It's refreshing. Many ladies have told me, many gentlemen have told me, people that don't even drink vodka are like, I like this vodka though.
Yeah. I've always been what I call a white drinker. I can't do the bourbons. I can't do the whiskeys. I can do the tequilas. I can do the vodkas. I can do the gins.
What do you think, Dara, when you tried it? What do you think? I must know your opinion.
You know what? For me, it was, understand I'm not the biggest drinker. It was vodka. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind when I put it in my mouth that it was vodka. It had a kick to it. So yeah, and the apple rum, gee, that was wonderful. You didn't need anything to add to that. That had that apple pie flavor behind it. So that was great. I'm going to ask you both the same question. Clark, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Fly the mission, stay the course. It's all going to work out.
Okay. And John, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, What piece of advice would you give yourself?
I can give you a good story on that.
Okay, I'm waiting.
My father, when I was 18, he said, I know you think you know everything right now. He goes, but in your pea-brain, remember all the advice I gave you that you're not going to follow, and just try to recall it when you're 40 years old and see what you think. And I always remember that, 40, 50. And of course, he was dead on the money on every single one of them. And then, now I'm him, with my kids. But that mission was, or his statement, and that philosophy was always, do it right or don't do it. So it's either got to embody excellence. It's got to be the best you can do, or you're wasting your time.
Well, I come back only because I've been waiting to throw this in, and that was sort of like the perfect moment. It has nothing to do with the cocktails. It has to do with your business, which is Fawn Plastics. And all I can think of was The Graduate, and then going up to Benjamin, he says, I got one word for you, is plastic, and that piece of advice that your dad gave you when you were 18, sort of reminiscent of, here you go. So I had to get that in, and you gave me the perfect opening. For those who haven't seen The Graduate, watch it. It's a phenomenal movie.
That's a classic.
So where do you hope to see the distillery in 5 years?
As quality of a product as we have today, and as everything expands, it gets harder to do. It's like any restaurants. You're in the you're on the food side, and an example that I can think of. I went to University of Maryland, and there was a place called Lito's Pizza, and it was life or death for us to get down there because it was the best of all time. And then, of course, Lito's went to the franchising, and it started to go a little bit south. And those were never as good as the original, with the parents in there cooking the pizza and supervising. Right. So would I like to be at 1 million bottles 5 years from now? Absolutely. But I only want to be at that 1 million bottles if it's the same as I'm making it today. And that's a tough task.
Okay, so consistency, that even with the growth, that there's got to be the consistency to hold up the quality of your product. And that's
Correct.
Your ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
What didn't I ask you that I should have?
I think we
covered most of it.
Yeah.
How much fun you can have.
It's been a challenge. This is always this is like space exploration, because for us, and making the product is a very scientific, but it also has an art form to it. This on the people side, and redoing how we look, and the entertainment and the cocktails, this is a space exploration. And every week we learn something new, and that's a cool thing, because do you take that information and grow with it, or do you ignore it? And I've seen in my career as a consumer, I don't think that people pay it as much attention to that as they should in business. The 4 Seasons would be the epitome of that in training their people and reacting to their customers' needs. Most of it, I saw this article today about the airlines, and they said, well, obviously the pandemic is causing this passenger unruliness. But the article said, but isn't maybe this a byproduct of how poorly the airlines treat their patrons over the years? And I said, yes, absolutely, because people are tired of this cattle car mentality. So that's another thing in our business, that not only do we want to have the best product, but we want people, when they leave here, to say, that was the coolest experience we had, and those people are super nice, and I'm definitely coming back here.
And I want to remind people that you can go on the website, Loveton Farms Distillery, and you can order the products and pick it up. You can, I don't know, is it every day that they do pickups?
So they do pickups on the weekends, but you can always also put in your zip code and find us at your local liquor store. We're all across Baltimore right now, and currently it's about 65 to 70 liquor stores that carry us, and they're all restocking, so it must be selling well. Our community loves us as much as we love them, and we thank you. But again, like you said, you can always check our website. and find out where to shop us, or come visit us down at the distillery on the weekends. We have so many deals for you if you've never tried us before. If it's your first time purchasing a bottle, we give you $5 off for a Yelp review, hanging out with us, let people know how you enjoyed it. If you purchase 3 bottles, you get 10% off and a cool carrying bag to reuse. So we're building more programs with you guys so that we can all get it out there and everyone can enjoy it. We're also doing tastings every Friday at different liquor stores. So feel free to follow us on social medias and catch us at any liquor store in the city.
Okay, if you didn't get it before, folks, Loveton Farms Distillery at Instagram. And it's lovetonfarmsdistillery.com for the webpage.
Yes, ma'am. And video as well.
I want to thank you both for being on the show, and I'm excited. I always like to see local businesses grow, and especially a local business like yours that has such a great products, the vodka, the 2 rums, the white rum, the apple pie rum. So folks, you can't miss that apple pie rum. I mean, it is the season. And check for the recipes. So
yes, those are real Maryland Honeycrisp apples. They came from Laurel Farms, actually, in Hartford County. So we love partnering with local businesses as well. So if you guys want to see another fruit, tell us your favorite farm on our social media. We'll go try to talk to them and see if they want to do something like peaches for the summer.
Well, I think we're past peach season, but anytime you do anything with peaches, I'm right there. It's a flavor that I just like and crave.
So if we talk to them now, we got to get ready for the next season for sure.
Get ready. So Klarke, John, a pleasure to meet you, John. Klarke, good to see you again. Continued success, great growth, and thanks for the support that you give to the local community.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon, and I'm going to wrap up with telling people who's going to be on the show next week. I want to tell you that next week is the renowned chef Norman van Aken, who is said to be and is the founding father of New World Cuisine, a celebration of Latin, Caribbean, Asian, African, and American flavors. He is also known internationally for introducing the concept of fusion to the culinary world. So you don't want to miss that. I want to again thank the folks from Loveton Farms Distillery for being on the show. Go to their website. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And, we love when you do this and you share with friends and family. The show will be up on the Jay Moore Living Facebook page immediately, and a couple moments later on the website, and it is a YouTube. And, always dig back into the archives for past shows. And let me say that if you need to reach me, you can reach me at food@jaymooreliving.com. My social is @DaraCooks. Again, check us out on the website, jaymooreliving.com. And as always, may your plates always remain full, and I will see you next Thursday.